I first presented this in a Pachakchar format at the eLearning Network event on informal learning, which was held in Bristol in June 2011. The Pachakchar format is 20 slides that auto-advance on 20 seconds each, so you need to get to the point. For a number of years now, I've been unconvinced by traditional training methods. And by traditional, I mean classroom delivery, I mean traditional click next to continue style e-learning courseware used in isolation. I just don't think these forms of training are effective. So why is that? Well, one of the common traps that we fall into is we just give people loads and loads of theory. We give them no help putting that into practice and just cross our fingers that when they get back to the workplace, they'll magically be able to apply what we teach them to their day-to-day working practices. Another mistake that we frequently make is this top-down model of learning, the sage on the stage. So the idea is I, the teacher, the trainer, I know everything, and you, the delegates, you know nothing. So shut up and listen to me and listen to what I've got to say because I'm the expert. I think this is a huge waste of potential because we're all intelligent people. We've all got a lot to share. Add to that, these modes of delivery are expensive. You know, classroom costs a fortune. Traditional e-learning courseware costs a great deal to produce as well. So, you know, I figure there's got to be a way of doing it. And for years, I was just very uncomfortable with the whole model that we were using. Another reason why it doesn't work is that we spend all of our time and effort on the initial training intervention, but we know from Ebbinghouse's work on the forgetting curve, hot off the press, just in from 1885, that we forget the majority of what we know within a number of days if we don't do anything to reinforce that. People like John Medina have been building on this in their work. John Medina has shown us that we learn through repetition, remember through repetition, through building on existing knowledge and more elaborate encoding of information, so doing something with it, applying what we do, what we learn. So how do we learn new skills best? Well, of course we learn them best by practicing. You don't let an airline pilot go up and fly a jumbo jet without having spent a huge amount of time in a simulator. We let people practice in a safe environment, get feedback, get it wrong, and learn from their mistakes. Add to that what we spend a huge amount of our time doing. I mean, most of us will use Facebook or Twitter at least once a day or more. For some of it, it's pretty core to the way that we work. There's barely a day goes by that Facebook or Twitter aren't in the news for one reason or another. So dissatisfied with all this, I went into a meditative state. You can tell this is me by the haircut and the shape of the head. You know, I thought, what if we could practice working together and learn from one another? And what if we could all contribute and learn by doing? What if we could do this from anywhere and it wouldn't cost a fortune? And that was when I had an idea. I had a vision for how this could work. And it really consumed me for a number of months. It kind of filled my waking hours and it was all I could focus on. I chose the subject that I wanted to try this new approach out on, and that was rapid e-learning development. So before I went too far, I decided to test out my ideas on three of the smartest people I know, Clive Shepherd, Jane Hart and Patrick Dunn, to make sure that I hadn't completely gone off on one and lost the plot. Fortunately I hadn't, and they helped me refine my idea and added a great deal to that as well. And so the concept for the Ministry of Instructional Design was born. I decided to host all of the learning within a fictional government agency, an entirely digital agency that was formed in the wake of the dot-com crash. And all of the learning is set within this fictitious environment. Next, I designed the blend and the elements that made that up, and it includes things like webinars, blogging for reflection, rapid e-learning material, video, documents, existing web resources, collaborative mind maps, all kinds of things really. And one of the most important elements of the blend were the assignments. I looked at what you do to produce rapid e-learning content, and I designed assignments based around those. I also designed in the requirement for people to review each other's work and comment and ask questions about it. So there is a reason for people to interact. I put all of the learning material within a social network. In this case, I used Ning, so that was a place where people could interact with one another. The key tools I used to build the material were things like Screener, DimDim for web conferencing, MindMeister, iMovie, Articulate, and Thinking Worlds. So what did people find? I mean, this was kind of 2 years ago that we launched the material. It's a tough course to do. It's challenging, you know, it's hard work. But who said that easy was good? Just because we've spoon-fed something doesn't mean that we learn from it. So people really get their hands dirty using this approach and really practice what we want them to do in the real world. Patrick Dunn came up with the idea of giving this thing a name, this model that I developed, so that other people could make use of it. And you're nothing in learning theories and learning models without an ism on the end of it. So I went for coactivism, the idea of people working together for the benefit of one another. And the core really of coactivism is that the proof is in the pudding. You know, I'm not really interested in what people know, I'm interested in what people can do. So this is when we want people to learn new skills. So it's all about the practicing of those skills and putting it into practice. So really, just to summarise on the last 2 slides here, so what is coactivism? Well, it's learning by doing, actually getting our hands dirty. It's learning through working together with other people. It's this peer-to-peer learning and not just top-down. And it's also built using low-cost tools and approaches, so it doesn't cost a fortune to use this model. And how would you put this into practice? Well, you design practice assignments so that people can practice what you want them to do in the real world. You design in peer review into that process and give people a place to connect to do that. And then you need someone to facilitate the learning and keep everybody engaged.